Hello, my name is William Holmes, and in our CSSE class, we did a project where we messed around with Arduino microcontrollers, and me and my partner Kyle decided to make a MP3 player, which we ended up calling the Music Boy. So what this Music Boy can do is that it can play music, and it can skip, go back to a previous track, and play and pause, toggle play and pause. And then we have an LCD, which we can see on one of our images here. This thing, you can get it, yeah, right here. We have a little screen that tells us the track, how much volume it is, and if it's playing the next track or if it's paused. And then we have a volume knob, which we definitely have a picture in here of the volume knob. Right here, this is the volume knob. That allows us to adjust the volume from 0 to 30. Okay, so I have a video of our project in its early stage that does exactly what it does, what it still does. And I'm going to explain what is what. So when we press the button, the button he clicked is the next button, which is A1 analog 1 on the Arduino. And if we look at next, the next button is under this thing here. It fires a if pressed. Basically, it calculates how long it's been pressed, and then if it's been pressed in long enough, then it will send it to the actual screen showing that it's playing the next track, and then it will change the next track. And then the same thing for the previous. It is literally the exact same. And then the pause button is slightly different because it has to toggle it. So when you click on it first time, it'll say paused. But the second time, it'll say playing. It will say pause the whole time it's paused. It will not come off until you click it again. So now we watch the video a little more. It says track 3, volume. And there's our serial MP3 that plays the MP3s. And then Kyle turns it down with the little knob, and the knob is under the pedometer volume control. So the pedometer's range is 0 to 1023, but the volume range is 0 to 30. And then it sends on the screen, it sends the volume that it reads out, and that correlates to the pedometer value. And that will always be under the track number. So if we keep on watching this video, I don't think there's anything else I'm missing. Yep, turning it up and turning it down. That's kind of what our project does. It just plays music that you put onto a SD card. So what you saw in the video was not our finished product, per se. Our finished product looks like this. It's really big because the Arduino board is really big, and the breadboard's pretty big too. And just to get the wires in there, it was very hard to do without having a big thing. Because our first initial design was a lot smaller. This was the first initial design, and then this is like how big it is now. So it is a little bigger than I wanted, but that is something I can change in the future. So we had multiple different branches. We had the main branch, which had all the branches together. But we started with the LCD branch. We had to get the LCD to read the track number and actually turn on to. We had to wire it and stuff. And then we had the pedometer branch, which literally was to get the pedometer to turn up and turn down. And then this is one of our failed projects for now. At least we're putting it on hold. We might change it in the future, might not. This is the autoplay branch because currently when you play a track, when it's done, it does not go to the next track until you click next. So we might come back and try to get autoplay to work, but we tried it and it just wasn't working correctly. But then we had the button branch, which basically worked on the buttons to get them working. And then the beta test dev branch was so we could merge one of these branches in to the main and made sure it didn't like break our whole code. And then once it worked in beta test dev, we knew it was safe to put in the main. And if you wanted to see the branches and stuff, if you go to click the little GitHub little GitHub cat, I guess, and you could see all our branches that we've done and all the code if you go to our MP3 player code, and then it should be the INO. I thought this project was really fun because it got you to like learn how to wire stuff and in a not really nurturing way, more like a trial and error way, because it took a lot of trial and error to get stuff to work. You can see how many commits we have. Like it's it took a lot of trial and error. But what really took a lot of trial and error is our CAD. So this is the final product. I don't have this printed out yet, but we will. Um, we have about how many versions we get? Five versions of this. The first version looked like this. There was nothing ready yet. We haven't printed it. The second version was when we made the buttons and stuff. I One thing I've noticed that this was too small and this was not the right like size, which we didn't print this one, so we printed this, which all the buttons fit except for the only thing that didn't fit was the volume knob. And then we made another one, which actually I my bad. This is the one that we printed out and we figured out stuff was too small. This one was the one that we used to test, which everything fit. And then this one was the first initial prototype. Or no, this was not the initial prototype. This was the almost final prototype. It just needed the stuff to be tweaked. This is the final prototype with the backing and the whole shell here. But I have pictures of all the prototypes. If you go to here, so this is the first prototype we did. Figured out the volume knob thing was too small. Then we have, let me get to my other prototype. This was our other prototype. And then figured out that if you look here, this is too close to the corner, and there's a little gap for the actual Arduino thing. Doesn't really work out, and then this part is not good either. And then this is the final one. I told this volume knob fits, and then the one thing I would change about this model is the middle button is a little bit small, as you can tell, compared to the other ones. And we had to use like an X-Acto knife to make it a little bigger. It kind of sticks, which is kind of bad, but it's one thing we would change. But the way I made this little back thing is if we go to the assembly here, or not the, it's the, it's in the other one. Hold it. Or I guess not. So it's quite literally, if we go to our main branch here, just the exact same, it's two different parts. So if we hide one of these extracts, so yeah, if we hide one of the extracts, this one is the exact same size as the inner cube. And then we put this sketch on top, you can see that's slightly bigger than, it's the same size as the outside of the cube, which causes, and then we merge them together to make into a little box so we can close it and not have to worry about wires flying out or anything, or our MP3 player flying out. But I hope you enjoyed my little presentation here, and I really did enjoy this project. And if you have any questions, I have a little contact me in the top, and if you want to look at my website, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, see ya.